Sony just announced about a week ago the release of the FX2. So naturally, I bought this guy. That's Nikon. Let's talk about it. Always check your audio levels. This is try number 3, third time's the charm, at recording what I thought was going to be a pretty simple video. First time I recorded, the audio completely didn't work, and the second time, a crying baby interrupted it. So here we are, try number 3. Let's go. Hey, I'm Matt, one half of Carly and Matt, and I wanted to make a somewhat informal video, jump on the Sony FX2 hate train, if you will. And this isn't so much a hate video as it is just my thoughts and what we actually ended up doing as soon as Sony announced a camera that we were originally excited to get, and why instead we pivoted to getting a Nikon camera as opposed to a brand new Sony full frame camera. So we shoot both Nikon and Sony, and we've been in the wedding photography business for just about 6 years now. And we started with Nikon, and we're still Nikon lovers. We love the colors. When it comes to photo, we love just everything that we've been able to do and accomplish with Nikon. So we're partial to Nikon on the photo side. But video, my first taste of video was with Sony. I started with Blackmagic years ago, but our first wedding films were all with Sony. And so our whole environment is actually all Sony cameras. Excuse me. We've got 2 Sony FX30s, a ZV-E10 Mark II, and we recently just picked up a ZV-E1. Now, I mention this because I fell in love with the full frame look of Sony cameras after shooting the first wedding film with the ZV-E1 just about a month ago. I just thought the image quality had a little sauce that some of the APS-C cameras that we have just hadn't had up until that point. And I was convinced that it was time to upgrade to the next best thing, which was at the time the Sony FX3. So I've been waiting around for kind of this, intended release of what I thought was going to be the FX3 Mark II that everyone's kind of been chatting about and talking about and theorizing. And then Sony went and launched the FX2 seemingly out of nowhere. At first, I went, yes, a cheaper camera that's just like the FX3, but more affordable. Sign me up. We're going to buy it. And I started watching review after review and some of the breakdowns that first came out as soon as it was official. And I went, okay, you know what? This is a pretty dope camera. It's basically the FX3. And then I started looking at specs and listening to a couple of more impartial Sony reviewers. And I realized this camera was not actually the FX3 at all, if at all, right? It was a little gimmicky and had features that nobody was really asking for. And ultimately, the kicker was, when it boils down to it, at 4K 60 in a wedding scenario, which is primarily what we're shooting at, you're using an APS-C camera at the end of the day. So like with that crop factor at the 4K 60, that was not a selling point. That was selling me off of the FX2 point. But the nail in the coffin was the price tag. Here in Canada, with the top handle XLR that everyone suggests you get with the FX2/FX3, it brought the price of the FX2 to $4,250 Canadian, which is only $750 cheaper than a FX3, which is the legendary Sony kind of creator cinema line that they shot the creator on. And I don't know, that was the final nail in the coffin for me. The fact that $750 extra would get me pretty much 3 steps up of a camera, and I don't know, just felt like a waste of money. So instead, this opened the door to us getting these 3 things right here. So this right here is the Z6iii from Nikon. FTZ adapter, CF Express Type B SD card. And all of this cost us almost $1,000 less than getting the FX2. I don't know. I mean, yeah, the specs that come on the Z6iii were the biggest thing. And I guess what this kind of the point of this video is, and the point of me sitting down and talking about my opinion of the FX2 is A, to yes, get on the train, but B, just really talk about my experience with kind of Sony and my thoughts. And it made me realize, like, being originally so excited to just buy the FX2, no questions asked, because it was a cheaper, what I thought a cheaper version of the FX3 would be. I realized when I was originally, like, I was almost about to set an alarm for release day to pre-purchase the FX2 before I realized that I was actually only buying it because of the Sony name and not because the FX2 was actually a camera that I needed. And I kind of compared that moment to anyone who's an Apple fanatic, right? Like, Apple every year comes out with a new iPhone that basically has the exact same specs as last year's, and there's no innovation anymore, right? And I know people will argue that with the FX2, you know, the innovation is the tilting EVF, which nobody was really asking for, and like, I don't even understand what else would be the innovative part of the FX2. And I love Sony, don't get me wrong, but it was just such a weird thing to come out, especially when everyone's talking about the FX3 Mark II and how much they love the FX3 and all this kind of stuff. But it made me realize that, man, I was kind of a Sony fanboy and just taking whatever Sony gave me. And so I took the opportunity to instead not only upgrade a photo camera, but use this opportunity to pivot and see what Nikon has in the realm of video. I mean, Nikon's making a splash when it comes to video now. The specs on this, I have yet to test it, but the specs are, I can shoot up to 6K 60 in 12-bit N-Log, which is essentially the Nikon equivalent of S-Log 3. 12-bit 6K 60 for under $3,000, right? Like, this was under $3,000. The whole kit right here that I have, I could even add a lens in there and still pay less than just the Sony FX2 alone. So I'm excited. Like, this thing is crazy. It shoots no crop, 4K 120, 4K 60, 6K 60, like all these things. It doesn't shoot with a crop. Like, this is a full frame sensor. There's no limits to this thing, right? Like, this thing is just ready to kind of go off, and I don't know, just like the shutter sound on this thing, I love that. So I'm very excited about what this means, but, you know, I guess if you're looking for a point to this video, it's really, don't be a Sony fanboy that just is happy and satisfied with anything and everything that they announce. I mean, I think just be prepared that maybe a different company has something that is more fitting to your needs. I love Sony, don't get me wrong. I'm not pivoting away from Sony. Our whole kit is Sony. The ZVE1 that I'm filming on, the FX30s, the ZVE10 Mark II even. I love all these cameras, but the FX2 was weird, man. The FX2 was weird. There's not really any way around that. But yeah, I don't know. Be ready. If you're a Sony person, like, drop it in the comments. I want to hear. If you're buying the FX2, please tell me. I want to know why. Like, just let me know your reasoning, the logic behind why the FX2 is for you. I'm curious. I want to know. And if you're someone who has the Z6iii and uses it for quote unquote cinematic things, right? Like, Sony's tagline is cinematic, whatever. I'd love to see what you guys have come together and put together with the Nikon, like, 12-bit NRAW. I'm looking forward to that and seeing what you guys got. But yeah, that's it. I just wanted to rant a little bit, test out a couple different things, and show off the fact that Nikon is maybe a new player when it comes to the video space. So look out for videos coming out with this. I'm going to do some intensive breakdowns and specs and stuff, and just some test footage. So thanks for listening. Drop a sub, like, and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.